The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015, provides a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet.
At its heart are the 17 SDGs, which recognize that ending poverty and other deprivations must go hand in hand with strategies that improve education and health, reduce inequality, amongst others. This was the crux of the meeting between President Muhammadu Buhari and the President of the United Nations General Assembly, Tijani Mohamed Bande, on Monday in Abuja.
Well, joining us now to discuss this is a lawyer and public affairs analyst, Jide Olugu. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast. Now, let's look at how critical it is for localizing these SDG goals to make them as sustainable and achievable, make them part of state development plan, because some say that at the federal level, something is being done, but at other levels, nothing really is being done, seem to be done.
It's great we underscore the developmental aspect of it, and it's a universal agenda, both for the developed countries and the poor countries of the world. And the aim is that we have a prosperous future, a future where we can live in peace and harmony, where we don't have a threatened planet also. And all nations have been called to come on board. And interestingly, we have avenue for partnership between nations. And it's not a coincidence that right now a Nigerian is the president of the United Nations General Assembly. So it is expected that we leverage on this. And coming down to the two goals of education and health, we must do an evaluation. And the starting point is to ask ourselves as a nation that where are we now? And the reality is that we are far away from even the starting point. And that should concern those who have the privilege of driving our governance process, because when you look at the statistics of children that are out of school, when you look at the education infrastructure we have in the country, when you look at the fact that even the lecturers are not at ease with the government, we have incidents of strikes, you know, and you now come to the health sector. I think that also we are struggling. Right now, as we speak as a people, we are victims of brain drain. Medical doctors will prefer to travel abroad to work rather than remaining in Nigeria. And when you look at all this, there is a proverb that when your sibling is on top of a mango tree, you are not expected to eat the one that is not ripe. So I think right now we should leverage on the representation we have in the United Nations. And if you look
how
at
do we do that? How do we begin to leverage?
They say charity begins at home. We must first create that passionate interest. So the big question is, what is the approach of this government? What is the governance mindset in the area of education? Is education important? And if you look at the proposed budget, 2020 budget, and you look at what is budgeted for education, I can tell you we are not serious in that area. And you ask the question too, what are we doing to upscale the status of our health facilities? And going by the reports we have in the country, that also is almost comatose, whether we deny it or not. And I try to escalate it to the executive level. If as of today, my president needs to go for medical care in the UK, I think it's a serious indictment on the country. But someone said the biggest room is the room for improvement. We want to see a Nigeria where we even make so much in terms of medical tourism. You talk of the UAE, they even have medical cities and things like that, and we connect with the world. Already, we have potential prosperity in the country. And again, whether you're talking about education, about energy, about decent communities, peace is paramount. Can we do something to ensure that we have a peaceful environment in this country? That talks about dealing with the banditry, the insurgency, the kidnapping, so that we become more attractive to investors. Because when you set goals like this, we need partners to help you achieve the goals. But then you also must be open to the transformation required to connect with the developed world of the country, of the world.
Okay, let's look at implementation, because no matter how we try to, from what you have said now, it boils down to budgetary allocation to healthcare and education. Even if we hit that target, how do we implement? It's a big problem. So if we don't implement appropriately, we might not hit the targets, the SDG targets, and of course create a structure for Nigeria. So how do we get to that point where we can actually hit the target of the SDG in quick time?
You know, the evaluation will be in year 2030.
Yeah.
But recall that I think in 1999 we set a goal for 2020, and we are in 2019, just a year away, and we have not achieved anything there. So it takes a deliberate decision to sit back and ask a question. Do we want to remain as a poor country? If the answer is no, then you work by default. Okay. Do we want to connect with the developed countries? You work by strategy. And what is strategy? Long-term plan for success. We need to look at how we deploy our resources. We need to see how we, like I mentioned earlier, how we let there be energy in the country. I'm talking of electricity. Then develop the people. I call them the superstructure. If you don't have the refined superstructure, they will destroy your infrastructure. So people must be developed, and education helps you in appreciating health. And we can change the narrative, but we must decide and act towards achieving it. And I may recommend the management by objective template of Peter Drucker, which means you set SMART goals, goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, you know, realistic and time-bound. And in no time, we can migrate from being a poor country to a developed country like Singapore.
All right, Jide Ologun, thank you for speaking with us.
God bless Nigeria.